Shalom, Lakam, Carl, Israel. How's your peace, Israel? Oh, let's get this. Oh, it's going the wrong way. How's your peace, Israel? Welcome back to another video. We're in the Midbar, Numbers, Hasafar, the book of Numbers, chapter 11. And we're going to get straight into it, right? We've got a lot to do. We've got Bible to read, okay? This here is going to be, we're we're on a journey. And through all this reading, hopefully we can write it on the tablets of our hearts, right? And the context here, it says the people complain. Okay, and it says, and the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them and consumed some outlying parts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So the name of the place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burned among them. Now the rabble that was among them had a strong craving, and the people of Israel also wept again, and said, "Oh, that we had meat to eat! We remembered the fish we ate in Egypt that cost nothing." This is interesting because they've literally, do you know how long it's been? It's been like a year, whatnot. They still, are having lapses of the time of Egypt. Like they still haven't got over the times of Egypt. But let's continue. It says, "Oh, we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt that cost nothing, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our strength is dried up, and there's nothing at all but this manna to look at." Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like that of bejulum. The people went about and gathered it and grounded it in hand mills, or beat it in mortars and boiled it in pots and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was like the taste of cakes baked of oil. When the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell with it. Moses heard the people weeping throughout their clans, everyone at the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord blazed hotly, and Moses was displeased. Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not found favor in your sight, that you lay the burden of all this people on me? Did I conceive all this people? Did I give them birth, that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as a nurse carries a nursing child, to the land that you swore to give their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all this people? For they weep before me and say, 'Give us meat that we may eat.' I am not able to carry all these people alone. The burden is too heavy for me. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once, if I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness." This is serious because, you know, this is a situation where Moses has got thousands of people, right, native to him, his blood. They are crying out for food. Imagine this is a difficult situation. He's one man, and they're wanting these things, and they're also murmuring about the times of Egypt that they wish that they were there, right? Due to all the different foods they have. This is a difficult situation he's got to go through. People think this walk is for the faint-hearted. When people think that they're in leadership, and they're doing things like Moses was doing things, know that when you're in leadership, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be fun and games. That's what a leader leads from the front. He's the one that's experiencing the heavy burden of everyone. If you're in leadership and it's all fun and everyone else is suffering, that you're in the wrong, like you're not doing the right thing. Because a leader leads from the front, means that he's the one that is worthy enough to carry the largest burden. Everyone else hasn't got the ability to do so. They need they need support. They get the support. You see what I'm saying? But Moses, he's having to go to the Father for everything he does, and the Father's not something that he can visually see. You see what I'm saying? except for through the signs, the pillars of the cloud and things like this, right? It says, elders appointed to aid Moses. This is the context. It says, then the Lord said to Moses, gather for me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them to the tent of the meeting, and let them take their stand there with you, and I will come down and talk with you there. I will take some of the spirit that is on you and put it on them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you may not bear it yourself alone. And say to the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow you shall eat meat, for you have wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, who will give us meat to eat? For it was better for us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall not eat just 1 day, or 2 days, or 5 days, or 10 days, or 20 days, but a whole month, until it comes out of until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and have wept before, excuse me, and wept before him, saying, why did we come out of Egypt? These are backsliders, right? But Moses said, the people among whom I number 600,000 on foot, you have said, I will give them meat, that they may eat a whole month. Shall flocks and herds be slaughtered for them, and be enough for them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, and for enough for them? And the Lord said to Moses, is the Lord's hand shortened? Now you shall see whether my word will come true for you or not. So Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord, and he gathered 70 men of the elders of the people and placed them around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took some of the spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. And as soon as the spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but they excuse me, but they did not continue doing it. Now 2 men remained in the camp, one named Ildad and the other named Medad, and the Spirit rested on them. They were among those registered, but they had not gone out to the tent, and so they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Joshua the son of Nun, the assistant of Moses from his youth, said, my lord Moses, stop them. But Moses said to him, are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, that the Lord would put his spirit on them? And Moses and the elders of Israel returned to the camp. The context next is quail and a plague. Then a wind from the Lord sprang up, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and a day's journey on the other side, around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the ground. And the people rose all that day, all night, and all the next day, and gathered the quail. Those who gathered least gathered 10 omers, and they spread them out for themselves all round the camp. While the meat was yet between their teeth before it was consumed, the anger of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord struck down the people with a very great plague. Therefore, the name of that place was called Kibroth Hatava, because there they buried the people who had the craving. From Kibroth Hatava, the people journeyed to Hazeroth, and they remained at Hazeroth. Okay, we're now. Oh yeah, so I was about to go and continue, but there was something interesting here. I kind of just read through it, but this is the situation where the father's given the children of Israel quail, and there's many who rose up that day and that night next day and gathered the quail. Those who gathered 10 omers, and they spread them over themselves all around the camp, while the meat was yet between their teeth before it was consumed. The anger of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord struck down the people with a very great plague. You see, so all this love for the flesh, they were eating manna. This also just kind of shows you the importance of having a more of a plant-based diet. Is that he could have easily have given them quail as one of the first things to eat. But he gave them manna, some sort of cumin sort of thing, right? and now they want meat, and he's given it to them, but he's also struck them down. Now, if it was something that they were allowed to eat, well, I don't know if it's in the law if they're allowed to eat quail. I think it is, but you can see that their love for the meat and the Babylon, Egypt, right, is what's caused them to have a plague. And don't be surprised that these sort of similar things is what's going to cause some of us to stumble, right, in this day and time. We're going to love the KFC, the McDonald's, the Morleys, the you know Wendy's, Five Guys, Pizza Hut, Domino's, all these things. Which we need to, at the moment, we should really try our best to start weaning these things off our palate, so we slowly get used to not wanting these things, right? We're going to go to Miriam and Aaron oppose Moses. This is chapter 12. It says, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman. And they said, has the Lord indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also? And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek, more than all the people who were on the face of the earth. And suddenly the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron and Miriam, come out, you three, to the tent of the meeting. And the three of them came out, and the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the entrance of the tent and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forward. And he said, hear my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak mouth to mouth, clearly and not in riddles. And he beholds the form of the Lord. Interesting. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. When the cloud removed from over the tent, behold, Miriam was leprous like snow. And Aaron turned towards Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said to Moses, O my Lord, do not punish us, because we have done foolishly and have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, whose flesh is half eaten away when he comes out of his mother's womb. And Moses cried to the Lord, O God, please heal her, please. But the Lord said to Moses, if her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be outside the camp even 7 days, and after that she may be brought in again. So Miriam was shut out of the camp 7 days, and the people did not set out on the march till Miriam was brought in again. After that, the people set out from Hazeroth and camped in the wilderness of Paran. Now, we can see here that where is it? Yeah, that Miriam was made leprous like snow. What does that tell us? Well, that tells us that Miriam was obviously not someone who was of, let's say, Caucasian complexion. She was obviously of some form of dark complexion, because the fact that she was able to be turned leprous like snow means that there was obviously a difference in her skin tone, right? This is obviously just only pointing towards the fact that the children of Israel were people of melanated hue, right? Spies sent out into Canaan. On chapter 13 says, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel. From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, every one a chief among them. So Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran, according to the command of the Lord, all of them men who were heads of the people of Israel. And these were the names: from the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, the son of Zakur; the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori; the tribe of Judah, or Yahawada, Caleb, the son of Yephannah, from the tribe of Issachar; Igal, the son of Joseph, from the tribe of Ephraim; Hoshea, the son of Nun, from the tribe from the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, the son of Raphu; from the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, the son of Sodi. So the way it's reading is that it names the tribe and then the person who comes from that tribe. From the tribe of Joseph, that is from the tribe of Manasseh, Gadai, the son of Susi. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gemali. From the tribe of Asher, Sethur, the son of Mikael or Michael. From the tribe of Naphtali, Nahabi, the son of Vophsi. From the tribe of Gad, Geuel, the son of Machai. These were the names of the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, and Moses called Hoshea, the son of Nun, Joshua. Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, go up into the Negeb, which is the south, and go up into the hill country. This is the same way that we should really be entering the land, is through the south, right? And see what the land is, and whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, and whether the land that they dwell in is good or bad, and whether the cities that they dwell in are camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, whether there are trees in it or not. Be of good courage, and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the season of the first ripe grapes. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin to Rehob near Lebo Hamath. They went up into the Negeb and came to Hebron, and Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talamai, the descendants of Anak, were there. Okay, Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. And they came into the valley of Eshcol and cut down from there a branch with a single cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them. And they also brought some pomegranates and figs. That place was called the valley of Eshcol because of the cluster that the people of Israel cut down from there. Report of the spies is the next context. At the end of the 40 days, they returned from spying out the land, and they came to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, we came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw that the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the Negeb, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. Then the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are. So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone to spy out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we see in it are of great height. And we saw that the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, right, who come from the Nephilim, and we seem to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seem to them. Right, so we are seeing after the flood, we're seeing the descendants of the Nephilim, and I've explained that there's many scenarios in how they could have come around. In the book of Genesis, we read it talks about that there were giants in the days of Noah and after, meaning that which we basically verified here that the children of Anak are the descendants of the Nephilim, the giants, right? Now, they may have not been as tall, but they were still very, very, very tall in regards to us as humans. Now, we know that Ham, he looked upon his father's nakedness, i.e., he laid with his father's he laid with his mother, Naamah, who her lineage was from the descendant of Cain. And when I say Cain, that's Hawa, Eve's son, right? Not Abel. Okay, and through the lineage of Cain, which is the serpent seed, that same lineage was the one that mixed their seeds with the Nephilim, or the Watchers, the women, and what they mixed their seed, and that's where all these things happened before the flood, right? But Naamah, she married Noah, who she came out of that same lineage of Cain. So she has that serpent seed DNA running through her veins, as well as she has that Nephilim DNA running through her veins. So when Ham laid with her, why he has that recessive gene of the, you know, Nephilim, let's just say, as well as the serpent seed. Yeah, because technically, I mean, it says that Noah's wife was Naamah, and Naamah was from Cain's lineage. So that means that actually every single person who descends from Noah has a bit of the serpent seed in them, from what we are seeing, right? The only thing is that Cain's lineage was actually emphasized more. And then if anyone understands the DNA aspect of recessive and dominant genes, you'll find that when you have two parents that have, let's just say, if you have a parent that's got one dominant gene and the other one's got recessive, the dominant takes over. The child will receive the dominant trait. Okay. But if you have two recessive, right, then that recessive gene will take over. It'll be more. So, like for instance, imagine one has brown eyes, one has blue eyes, right? And you know, you end up getting a dominant with the brown eyes and a recessive with the blue eyes. So the son's more, the son and daughter's more is going to have brown eyes, right? But if they had the recessive gene, then there's a chance that a recessive trait, then there's a chance that the blue eyes could also be something that the child could have, right, from the mother. You see what I'm saying? Because the father didn't have a dominant trait when it comes to the eye color and things like this, right? Why am I saying this? Well, when it comes to Ham laying with his mother, Ham had obviously the recessive gene of the Nephilim coming through. This is something I need to look into, because I'm pretty sure I've read in some scripture that Ham's mother is different to the other two, right? To Shem and Noah. I read it in it's in the book of Lamech, right? It's narrated in such a way that Shem and Ham, Shem and Japheth are conceived. Doesn't necessarily speak about the mother, but then later then it says that Ham was conceived with Naamah, but it specifies the name. So I've always wondered whether, if they've all got this, if Naamah is the mother to Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and Naamah comes from the lineage of Cain, that means that all the descendants of Noah, they have a recessive gene of gigantism, as well as not even just gigantism, not just from and also the serpent seed. So there's some extra information. I need to look into that, because I'm pretty sure Noah had a different wife first. Yeah, I think he had two wives. Like there was something. I need to find that one out. But anyway, just going on based on that, we're trying to deal with the genetic aspect. It's the fact that Ham laid with his mother, right, and looked upon his nakedness, and that caused Canaan to have this chance of having a recessive gene of the gigantism is coming from both sides, father and mother. Do you see what I'm saying? Which increases the chance of such a gene like gigantism occurring, because gigantism is the idea of you giving birth to a son that's going to be a giant. You see what I'm saying? That was the genetic what's the best word? The corruption that actually happened amongst our, the humans, is that they were mixed with the fallen, and that's where this gigantism trait came into equation, where some giants were born. You see, now Canaan's situation is that he was cursed. There could also be something dealing with the actual cursing aspect of it, but dealing with the DNA aspect, we can see that the fact that Ham and the mother both had the trait of gigantism running through their veins, it increased the chance that Cain would also give birth to children that would have that trait. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's one way of Cain, the Canaanites having giants coming out of their loins in this particular dispensation. But also, we know that the Father flooded the earth, right? Everything that was on the land is what died, but things that were in the sea, they wouldn't have been flooded, would they? Because things that are in the sea, they live in water. So how could you drown something that just naturally lives in water? But if you know what happened in the times of Noah, they were doing genetic splicing. So that's where you see all the minotaurs, all these different demigods that they had with mixed hybrid, chimeras, different humans crossed with this. That's where you get the mermaid situation. So when you see all of this, and you see how the Philistines were worshipping a god called Dagon, you can start to see that maybe that there were actually gods that were interacting with the Canaanites and the Philistines on the coast of Israel, right? The fact that they're worshipping a god called Dagon, which was actually a merman, it's a man who's half man, half fish, right? It could have been easily possible that they laid with one of these, some of the women, or could have laid with these, the mermaids, or the merman or whatnot. Thus, rekindling this gigantism trait amongst the Canaanites and causing them to then, because then the merman would have been a what? Would have been coming from the loins of the seed of Cain crossed with the Nephilim, right? So they would have also had the DNA very strong. And if they were to then interbreed with the Canaanites while they're in Israel, this would have also sparked a what? The trait to be amongst the Canaanites. And that's why we would read, as we read, we see the Anak, the children of Anak were amongst them, right? Yeah, the children of Anak, the sons of Anak. Anyway, that was just, through the Spirit. Just wanted to just explain a little bit. I think I need to come back and just touch upon, I think those are the two major things. Those are the two possibilities in how I would have presumed that the giants were here after the flood, is because there were some hybrids that could have easily have lived in the water, right? Because they were doing genetic splicing as they're doing now. It says, as the days of Noah, so it's like the sons coming the Son of Man. That's what they're doing now. They're mixing and interbreeding. You see some of these dogs that we've got. These dogs these days, they're not like normal dogs. Like, dogs used to be very simple, one-colored, haired looking dogs. These dogs, some of them, I even feel like the pit bull, it looks like a seal. It literally looks like a seal. If you get a pit bull, a really cute pit bull, and you get a seal, I guarantee they look the same. And seals are supposed to be very loving like them. I feel there's a lot of, even with the dog kingdom, I feel like they've already done a lot of genetic modification there, because you're getting all these weird crossbreeds lookings. One's small as a shoe, one is as large as a car. That there's too much going on, and that's just a stamp that we are in the times of Noah. Let's continue. We're on chapter 14. The context is the people rebel. It says, then all the congregation raised a loud voice, and the people wept that night. And all the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole congregation said to them, would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would that we had died in the wilderness? Why is the Lord bringing us into the land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become prey. Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt? And they said to one another, let us choose a leader and go back to Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the people of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Yephannah, it's a very strange way of saying, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation of the people of Israel, the land which he passed through to spy it out, it is exceedingly good. It's an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into the land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. they their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. They then all the congregation then all the congregation said to stone them with stones, but the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of the meeting to all the people of Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will this people despise me? And how long will they not believe in me, in spite of all the signs that I have done among them? I will strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. Context here is Moses intercedes for the people. But Moses said to the Lord, then the Egyptians will hear of it, for you brought up this people in your might from among them, and they will tell the inhabitants of the land, they have heard that you, O Lord, are in the midst of this people. For you, O Lord, are seen face to face, and your cloud stands over them, and you go before them in a pillar of cloud day by day, and in a pillar of fire by night. Now, if you kill this people as one man, then the nations who have heard your fame will say, it is because the Lord was not able to bring this people into the land that he swore to give them that he was killed that he was killed them in the wilderness. And now please let the power of the Lord be great as you have promised. Promised, saying the Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers of the children to the third and fourth generation. Please pardon the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of your steadfast love, just as you have forgiven this people from Egypt until now. The context here is God promises judgment. Then the Lord said, I have pardoned according to your word, but truly as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, none of the men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in wilderness, yet have put me to the test these 10 times and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I swore to give to their fathers. Okay? So these people are murmuring in the wilderness. They're not going to experience the land. This is going to be the same as we talk about in Ezekiel, where he's going to bring us out of the land that we were scattered, and he's going to purge amongst us the rebellious ones, right? Nothing's new under the sun. He's going to go through the same situation as he went before, right? And none of those who despise me shall see it, but my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully. I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. Now, since the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valleys, turn tomorrow and set out for the wilderness by the way to the Red Sea. And the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, how long shall this wicked congregation grumble against me? I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they grumble against me. Say to them, as I live, declares the Lord, what you have said in my hearing, I will do to you. Your dead bodies shall fall in this wilderness, and all of your number listed in the census for 20 years old and upwards, who have grumbled against me. Not one shall come into the land where I swore that I would make you dwell, except Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun, but your little ones who you said would become a prey. I will bring in, and they shall know that the land that you have rejected. But as for you, your dead bodies shall fall in the wilderness. You see this? And I personally think this is the same thing that's going to happen. It talks about 2/3 of us are going to be cut off. I wonder why. It says, and the children shall be shepherds in the wilderness 40 years, and shall suffer for your faithfulness until the last of your dead bodies lies in the wilderness, according to the number of the days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, a year for each day. You shall bear your iniquity 40 years. You shall know my displeasure. I, the Lord, have spoken. Surely this will I do to all this wicked congregation who are gathered together against me in the wilderness. They shall come to a full end, and they shall die. Okay, and the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing up a bad report about the land. The men who brought up a bad report of the land died by plague before the Lord, and those men who went to spy out the land. Only Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh remained alive. And that's Ephraim and Judah. Joshua son of Nun is Ephraim, and Judah is Caleb. Okay, they're the two supposable ideal leaders, I'd say, in this thing. Okay, it says Israel defeated in battle. That's the context of this part. It says when Moses told these words to all the people of Israel, the people mourned greatly, and they rose early in the morning and went up to the heights of the hill, saying, "Here we are. We will go up to the place that the Lord has promised, for we have sinned." But Moses said, "Why now are you transgressing the command of the Lord? When when that when that will not succeed. Do not go up, for the Lord is not among you, lest you be struck down before your enemies. For there the Amalekites and the Canaanites are facing you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have turned back from following the Lord. The Lord will not be with you." But they presumed to go up to the heights of the hill country, although neither the ark of the covenant of the Lord nor Moses departed out of the camp. Then the Amalekites and the Canaanites who lived in the hill country came down and defeated them and pursued them even to Hormah. Okay, so the Amalekites, they're not, these are the children of Edom, right? The Edomites, but they're like the chief tribe. Typically, the Amalekites are the ones that are actually in the land to this day, the people that they call themselves Jewish. These are the Amalekites, right? Now, we're going to go into chapter 15. Context is his laws and about sacrifices. It says, "The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land you are to inhabit, which I am giving you, and you offer to the Lord from the herd, from the flock a food offering or a burnt offering or a sacrifice to fulfill a vow, or as a freewill offering, or at your appointed feast to make a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Then he who brings his offering shall offer to the Lord a grain offering of a tenth of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with a quarter of a hin of oil. And you shall offer with the burnt offering or for the sacrifice a quarter of a hin of wine for the drink offering for each lamb. Or for a ram you shall offer for a grain offering 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with a third of hin of oil. And for the drink offering you shall offer a third of hin of wine, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. When you offer a bull as a burnt offering or a sacrifice to fulfill a vow or for peace offerings to the Lord, then one shall offer with the bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with half a hin of oil. And you shall offer for the drink offering half a hin of wine as a food offering, pleasing aroma to the Lord. This it shall be done for each bull or ram, for each lamb or young goat, as many as you offer, so shall you do. With each one as many as there are, every native Israelite shall do these things in this way, in offering a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And if a stranger is sojourning with you, or anyone is living permanently among you, and he wishes to offer a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord, he shall do as you do. For the assembly there shall be one statute for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you, a statute forever throughout your generations. You and the sojourner shall be alike before the Lord. One law and one rule shall be for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you." The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land to which I bring you, and when you eat of the bread of the land, you shall present a contribution to the Lord. Of the first of your dough, you shall present a loaf as a contribution, like a contribution from the threshing floor. So shall you present it. Some of the first of your dough you shall give to the Lord as a contribution throughout your generations." The next context is laws about unintentional sins. It says, "But if you sin unintentionally and do not observe all these commandments that the Lord has spoken to Moses, all that the Lord has commanded you by Moses from the day that the Lord gave commandment and onwards throughout your generations, then if it was done unintentionally without the knowledge of the congregation, all the congregation shall offer one bull from the herd for a burnt offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord, with its grain offering and its drink offering, according to the rule, and one male goat for a sin offering, And the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the people of Israel, and they shall be forgiven, because it was a mistake, and they have brought their offering, a food offering, to the Lord, and their sin offering before the Lord for their mistake. And all the congregation of the people of Israel shall be forgiven, and the stranger who sojourns among them, because the whole population was involved in the mistake. If one person sins unintentionally, he shall offer a female goat a year old for a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement before the Lord for the person who makes a mistake when he sins unintentionally, to make atonement for him, and he shall be forgiven. You shall have one law for him, and who does anything unintentionally, for him who is native among the people of Israel, for the stranger who sojourns among them, for the person who dies anything with a high hand, whether he is native or a sojourner, reviles the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from among his people, because he has despised the word of the Lord, and has broken his commandment. That people shall utterly cut off his iniquity shall be on him. The Sabbath breaker executed. While the people of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Shabbat day, and those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron to all the congregation. They put him in custody, because it had not been made clear what should be done with him. And the Lord said to Moses, that man should be put to death. All the congregation shall be stoned with him stones outside the camp. And all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death with stones, as the Lord commanded Moses. Now, I typically, I would say I'm 99, if not 100% sure that the Shabbat that I observe is the correct Shabbat, right? How I know is because there's a spiritual occurrence that occurs on the Shabbat. It's a day that the Spirit is poured out on the community. Okay, sorry, I'm sitting on something. The Spirit is poured out on that day, and specifically when that Spirit is poured out, if you're doing work while that Spirit is being poured out throughout the day, you feel it. You feel like when you're lifting up one brick, you feel like you're lifting up 20. You see what I'm saying? It's not guesswork. It's something that you can actually feel within yourself. You know that you're breaking the Sabbath. And a lot of people, because they don't know what the Sabbath is, when they feel like they're having a bad day, the reason why they're having a bad day is because it's most probably the Shabbat, and they've worked on the Shabbat. They don't understand why that day is bad. It's because they've been working on the Shabbat. There is something that happens on the Shabbat that if you're working, you feel it. And that's why you have bad days. That's why it's important that we get on time with the Father's time, so we know we don't walking in the Spirit blind. No one wants to listen. You can tell my views. Look, 0. No one wants to listen. You see what I'm saying? But it's all right, because people are going to they will have to come to understand this stuff at some day and time. And I know I've said this to many people, that divine intervention is going to be the only thing that really shakes up the people. Because when they start, while people have the opportunity to mess around and say, oh no, this is the Messiah's this, or, the Old Testament this, or the Torah this, and, oh, this is only for this person. And now, while people are cherry picking and messing around with scripture, that's why you've got time, you see. But when you don't have time, you're gonna listen. You're gonna want to come back and understand the real stuff. You see what I'm saying? And the whole thing is that Shaitan's messing around with everyone. He keeps giving people reasons not to read the whole Bible and even go to other scriptures, other texts. People got this spirit of laziness where, Shaitan has just made them think that, come as you are. You're forgiven, you're saved. Yeah, so let's continue. Tassels on garments. 37. It says, the Lord said to Moses, speak to the people of Israel and tell them to make tassels on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a cord of blue on the tassels of each corner. And it shall be a tassel for you to look at and remember all the commandments of the Lord, to do them, not to follow after your own heart and your own eyes, which you are inclined to whore after. So you shall remember and do all the commandments, and be holy to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God, and I am the Lord your God. All right, we're going to go into 16. The context is Korah's a rebellion. And it reads on this wise. It says, Now Korah, the son of Izahar, Izhar, sorry, son of Kohath, son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with a number of the people of Israel. 250 chiefs of the congregation, chosen from the assembly, well-known men. They assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron and said to them, You have gone too far, for all in the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourself above the assembly of the Lord? When Moses heard it, he fell on his face, and he said to Korah all his company, in the morning of the Lord will show who is his, and who is holy, and will bring him near to him. The one who he chooses, he will bring near to him. Do this, take censers, Korah and all his company, put fire in them and put incense on them before the Lord tomorrow. And the man whom the Lord chooses shall be the Holy One. And you have gone too far, says Levi. And Moses said to Korah, Hear now, you sons of Levi, is it too small a thing for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to do service in the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister to them, and that he has brought you near him and all your brothers, the son of Levi, with you? And would you seek the priesthood also? Therefore it is against the Lord that you and all your company have gathered together. What is Aaron? What is Aaron that you grumble against him? And Moses said to call Dathan and Abiram, the son of Eliab, and they said, We will not go up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up to a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you must also make yourself a prince over us? Moreover, you have not brought us into a land with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. And Moses was very angry and said to the Lord, Do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, and I have not harmed one of them. And Moses said to Korah, Be present, you and all your companies, before the Lord, you and they and Aaron tomorrow. And let every one of you take his censer and put incense in it. And every one of you bring before the Lord his censer, 250 censers. You also and Aaron, each of his censer. So every man took his censer and put fire in them and laid incense on them and stood at the entrance of the tent of the meeting with Moses and Aaron. Then Korah assembled all the congregation against them at the entrance of the tent of the meeting, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. And the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from among the congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with all the congregation? And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Say to the congregation, Get away from the dwelling of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Then Moses rose up and went to Dathan, and Abiram and the elders of Israel followed them. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, Depart, please, from the tents of the wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest you be swept away with all their sins. So they got away from the dwelling of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, and Dathan. And Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents together with their wives and their sons and their little ones. And Moses said, Hereby you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all this works, and that it has not been of my record. If these men die as all men die, or if they are visited by the fate of all mankind, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord creates something new, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, then they go down alive into Sheol. Then you shall know that these men have displeased the Lord. And as soon as he finished speaking all these words, the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their household, and all the people who belonged to Korah and all their goods. So they and all that belonged to them went down alive into Sheol, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. And all Israel who were around them fled at their cry, for they said, Lest the earth swallow us, Lest the earth swallow us up. And fire came out of the Lord and consumed oh, wait, hold on. It says, and all the Israel who were around them fled at their cry, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up. And fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men offering the incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, tell Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest to take up the censers out of the blaze, then scatter the fire far and wide, for they have become holy. As for the censers of these men who have sinned at the cost of their lives, let them be made into hammered plates as a covering for the altar, for they offered them before the Lord and they became holy. Oh, right. Okay. That's they shall be a sign to the people of Israel. There's something that's gone on here. Either the fact that they were burnt with fire, so it was some form of sacrifice that they've now become holy. So that's why he's taken the censers. He says, so Eleazar the priest. That might not be the case. That's what it looks like. Or is the fact that it's because they were what standing and they already got those censers burning incense, so they already had them prepared. So maybe the process of preparation made them holy. Either one of those two things. It says, verse 39 says, so Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers which those who were burned had offered, and they were hammered out as a covering for the altar, to be a reminder to the people of Israel, so that no outsider who is not of the descendants of Aaron should draw near to the burnt incense before the Lord, lest he become like Korah and his company, as the Lord said to him through Moses. But on the next day, all the congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and against Aaron, saying, you have killed the people of the Lord. And when the congregation had assembled against Moses and against Aaron, they turned towards the tent of the meeting, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. And Moses and Aaron came to the front of the tent of the meeting. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, get away from the midst of this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces. And Moses said to Aaron, take your censer and put fire on it from all the altar, and lay incense on it, and carry it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from the Lord. The plague has begun. So Aaron took it as Moses said, and ran into the midst of the assembly. And behold, the plague had already begun among the people. And he put on the incense and made atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. Now those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died in the affair of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of the meeting with the plague was stopped. We're going to keep going through the Spirit. Chapter 17, Aaron's staff buds. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the people of Israel and get from them staffs, one from each father's house, from all their chiefs, according to their father's house, 12 staffs. Write each man's name on his staff, right? And write Aaron's name on the staff of Levi. For there shall be one staff for the head of each father's house, right? This is something that we should be following, okay? Then you shall just deposit them in the tent of the meeting before the testimony where I meet with you. And the staff of the man whom I choose shall sprout. Thus I will make to cease from me the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they grumbled against you. Moses spoke to the people of Israel, and all the chiefs gave their staff, one for each chief according to their father's houses, right? This is why it's important to know what tribe you come from. Not just the tribe of Israel, but you need to know exactly what tribe, the 12 tribes, right? Fathers have the 12 staffs. And the staff of Aaron was amongst their staffs. And Moses deposited the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the testimony. And the next day Moses went into the tent of the testimony, and behold, the staff of Aaron from the house of Levi had sprouted and put forth buds and produced blossoms, and it bore ripe almonds. Then Moses brought out all the staffs from before the Lord to all the people of Israel, and they looked, and each man took his staff. And the Lord said to Moses, put back the staff of Aaron before the testimony, to be kept as a sign for the rebels, that you may Make an end of their grumblings against me, lest they die. Thus did Moses, as the Lord commanded him, so he did. And the people of Israel said to Moses, Behold, we perish, we are undone, we are all undone. Everyone who comes near to the tabernacle of the Lord shall die. Are we all to perish? Through the Spirit, we're going to keep going. Chapter 18, duties of the Spirit. I only stop if the Spirit wants me to stop. I'll stop, but I'm going to keep going as the Spirit is continuing. It says duties of priests and Levites. Chapter 18 says, So the Lord said to Aaron, You and your sons and your father's house with you shall bear iniquity connected with the sanctuary, and you and your sons with you shall bear iniquity connected with your priesthood, and with you bring your brothers, also the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, that they may join you and minister to you, while you and your sons with you are before the tent of the testimony. They shall keep guard over you, over the whole tent, but shall not come near to the vessel of the sanctuary or to the altar, lest they and you die. They shall join you and keep guard over the tent of the meeting for all the service of the tent, and no outsider shall come near you. You shall keep guard over the sanctuary and over the altar, that there may never again be wrath on the people of Israel. They are a gift to you, given to the Lord, to do the service of the tent of the meeting. And you and your sons with you shall guard your priesthood for all that concerns the altar, and that is within the veil, and you shall serve. I give your priesthood as a gift, and any outsider who comes near shall be put to death. Then the Lord spoke to Aaron, Behold, I have given you charge of the contributions made to me, all the consecrated things of the people of Israel. I have given them to you as a portion, and to your sons as a perpetual due. This shall be yours of the most holy things, reserved from the fire. Every offering of theirs, every grain offering of theirs, and every sin offering of theirs, and every guilt offering of theirs, which they render to me, shall be most holy to you and to your sons. In the most holy place shall you eat. Every male may eat of it. It is holy to you. This also is yours, the contribution of their gift and the wave offering of the people of Israel. I have given them to you and to your sons and daughters with you as a perpetual due. Everyone who is clean in your house may eat of it. All the best of the oil and all the best of the wine and of the grain, the first fruits of what they give to the Lord, I give to you. The first ripe fruits of all that is in their land, which they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Everyone who is clean in your house may eat it. Every devoted thing in Israel shall be yours. Everything that opens the womb of all flesh, whether man or beast, which they offer to the Lord, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man you shall redeem, and the firstborn of unclean animals you shall redeem, and the redemption price at a month old you shall redeem them. You shall fix at 5 shekels in silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. But the firstborn of a cow, or the firstborn of a sheep, or the firstborn of a goat, you shall not redeem. They are holy. You shall sprinkle their blood on the altar, and shall burn their fat as a food offering, with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. But the flesh shall be yours, as the breast that is waved, as the right thigh are yours. All the holy contributions that the people of Israel present to the Lord I give to you, and to your sons and daughters with you, as a perpetual due. It is a covenant of salt forever before the Lord for you, and for your offspring with you. And the Lord said to Aaron, You shall have no inheritance in the land, neither shall you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the people of Israel. To the Levites I have given every tithe in Israel for an inheritance in return for their service that they do, their service in the tent of the meeting, so that the people of Israel do not come near the tent of the meeting, lest they bear their sin and die. For the Levites shall do the service of the tent of the meeting. They shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generations, and among the people of Israel they shall have no inheritance. For the tithe of the people of Israel, which they present as a contribution to the Lord, I have given to the Levites for an inheritance. So this is where people, pastors, ministers who take tithes, they are not supposed to be taking tithes, i.e., causing people to give 10% of their earnings to them, because they're not from the Levitical priesthood. That's for the Levitical priests. Why do they have? Why are they supposed to give tithes? Levitical priests, because they didn't have a portion of land. That's what the tithes for. So no one should be forced to be giving 10% of their earnings. What they can do is just give a free will offering, something that they would like to do, like to give, just out of generosity. It says you're not supposed to give out of compulsion. It reads in the Basora, the New Testament. But the Lord loves a what? A cheerful giver. You see what I'm saying? So you should give when you feel worthy, not worthy, happy to give. Give what you feel happy to give. Don't give and have an ill heart towards the person you're giving to. That's you're defeating the purpose of giving. You should give what you should. You should both be happy. You get what I'm saying? Therefore, I've said to them that they shall have no inheritance among the people of Israel, as I was mentioning. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, moreover, you shall speak and say to the Levites, when you take from the people of Israel the tithe that I've given you from them for your inheritance, then you shall present a contribution from it to the Lord, a tithe of a tithe. And the contribution shall be counted. So that's 10% of the 10%. And your contribution shall be counted to you as though it were the grain of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the winepress. So you shall also present a contribution to the Lord for all your tithes which you receive from the people of Israel, and from it you shall give the Lord's contribution to Aaron the priest. Out of all the gifts to you, you shall present every contribution due to the Lord, for each its best part is to be dedicated. Therefore you shall say to them, when you have offered from its best of it, then the rest shall be counted to the Levites as produce of the threshing floor, and as produce of the winepress. And you may eat it in any place. You and your household, for it is a reward in return for your service in the tent of the meeting. And you shall bear no sin by reason of it, when you have contributed the best of it. But you shall not profane the holy things of the people of Israel, lest you die. Okay, through the Spirit, we're going to keep going. Chapter 19, laws for purification. It says, now the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, this is the statute of the Lord that the Lord has commanded. Tell the people of Israel to bring you a red heifer without defect, and in which there is no blemish, and on which a yoke has never come. And you shall give it to Eleazar the priest, and it shall be taken outside the camp and slaughtered before him. And Eleazar the priest shall take some of the blood with his finger and sprinkle some of the blood towards the front of the tent of the meeting 7 times. And the heifer shall be burned in his sight, and its skin, its flesh, and its blood, and with its dung shall be burned. And the priest shall take a cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet yarn and throw them into the fire, burning the heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he may come into the camp. But the priest shall be unclean until the evening. The one who burns the heifer shall wash his clothes in water and bathe his body in water, and shall be unclean until the evening. And a man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and deposit them outside the camp in a clean place, and they shall be kept for the water for impurity for the congregation of the people of Israel. It is a sin offering. And the one who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. And this shall be a perpetual state for the people of Israel and for the strangers who sojourn among them. Whoever touches the dead body of any person shall be unclean 7 days. He shall cleanse himself with the water of the 3rd day, and on the 7th day, and on the 7th day, and so be clean. But if he does not cleanse himself on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, he will not become clean. Whoever touches a dead person in the body of anyone who has died and does not cleanse himself defiles the tabernacle of the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from Israel, because the water for impurity was not thrown on him. He shall be unclean. His uncleanliness is still on him. This is the law when someone dies in a tent. Everyone who comes into the tent and everyone who is in the tent shall be unclean for 7 days. Wow. So if someone dies next to you in a tent in your house, you're unclean for 7 days. And every open vessel that has no cover fastened on it is unclean. Wow. So even yes, all cut everything. Yeah, everything's unclean if it's open, if it's present within the house of where that person died. Whoever in the open field touches someone who was killed with a sword, or who died naturally, or touches a human bone or grave, shall be unclean for 7 days. Wow. For the unclean they shall take some ashes of the burnt sin offering, and fresh water shall be added in the vessel. So if you touch a human bone, you're unclean for 7 days. Also, if you touch a dead body, you're unclean for 7 days. It says, then a clean person shall take a hyssop and dip it in the water and sprinkle it on the tent and all the furnishings and on the persons who were there, and on whoever touched the bone, or the slain, or the dead, or the grave. And the okay, hold on. It says who were it says, then a clean person shall take hyssop and dip it in the water and sprinkle it on the tent and on all the furnishings and on the persons who were there. Right. So if someone died within your house, right? Obviously, the ordinances of pouring hyssop and things like that. I mean, that's you washing yourself. I mean, you can wash yourself, but obviously the priest is supposed to be doing this. The bone. So if you touch the bone, So these are the people who are unclean. Anyway, it says, and the clean person shall sprinkle it on the unclean on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. Thus on the 7th day he shall cleanse him, and he shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and at the evening he shall be clean. So you basically, it's just washing yourself. There's the hyssop, and that's one way you can clean yourself. Don't get me wrong. You can wash yourself with hyssop. That's a normal thing. That's not something that you need a priest to do so. It's a sign of purity in regards to, if you want to cleanse yourself, wash yourself with hyssop, isn't it? It says, if a man who was unclean does not cleanse himself, that person shall be cut off from the midst of the assembly, since he has defiled the sanctuary of the Lord, because the water for impurity has not been thrown on him. All right, yeah, because this one, it was because it's with the ashes as well, isn't it? Yeah, he is unclean, and it shall be a statute forever for them. The one who sprinkles the water for impurity shall wash his clothes, and the one who touches the water for impurity shall be unclean until evening. And whatever the unclean person touches shall be unclean, and anyone who touches it shall be unclean until the evening. Okay? All right, I think we're going to stop there. Do the spirit. We've entered quite a few things. We're really powering through the Bamidbar Hasafar, the book of Numbers. Yeah, there's a lot to take in, but some of these things are actually very much prevalent today. You know, I all the things that are dealing with the priests. We know that the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, is not in effect. We don't have them set up anywhere, so we can't deal with that. So all the ordinances are not in effect, but the laws around the uncleanliness, i.e., for instance, you touching a dead body, you being unclean for 7 days, that's very much true. You are unclean, and you being unclean, we've read before that you should keep yourself away from the congregation, i.e., you should really keep yourself away from people. You should be away for 7 days. Simple. You should take your time out to be, away 7 days. And typically, that's a mourning period. That's for the period for you to mourn, isn't it? So I only hope that the reader and listen to this word will be blessed by this. We are going from cover to cover, and hopefully we can write these scriptures on the tablets of our hearts. And may Yahweh bless you. May Yahweh keep you. May Yahweh shine his face upon you. May Yahweh be gracious to you. May Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you. And may Yahweh grant you everlasting peace in Yahshua HaMashiach's name I pray. Selah.